I bet you didn't know that historical reenactment has a long history that continues into today. It's an educational and fun way to honor, remember, and commemorate an event or person. Living history reenactors all have their reasons why they started and why they think it's important. Here at Family Tree Nuts, we recently asked these questions to several experts in this field. This video showcases those interviews. I hope you enjoy each person's insight as much as I enjoyed talking with them. All right, let's go check it out.
My name is Chris Boswell. I am reseating a chair here. I am from Shoals, Indiana. I've been going to events since I was in high school and Boy Scouts, actually. My scoutmaster was a reenactor and he brought this troop to one back in the early 2000s. I think history is important because it's fun, honestly, and you learn a lot of skills that are being lost and not being preserved, and there's a lot of interesting facts that get glossed over as you get older and as you get educated. My next event is most likely going to be the Feast of the Hunter's Moon in Lafayette, Indiana. I'm pretty well done for the spring until fall. This is a hobby that really needs an influx of youth, and it's a great hobby for kids. Everyone's really family oriented that comes here. I really enjoy doing it, and I think more people need to get interested.
My name is Mark Ledford. I'm from East Tennessee, mountains of Irwin area. I've been doing this for almost 30 years, and I find it very important to stay in tune with our culture and our past and the real part of it so that we understand all of it's not pretty, all of it's not soft. There were hard men then because they had to live a hard life. I think history is important because, in the words of Edmund Burke, if we don't learn from it, if we forget about it, then we'll never be able to avoid repeating that mistake. Today I'm portraying a Cherokee warrior who's come to fight among his Shawnee brothers against the whites that are encroaching on our territory. Learn about it, don't just watch it. Research and find out what the truth is for yourself.
I'm Alex Nichols. I'm from Lexington, Kentucky. I've been doing this for a little bit, but it's been quite a long time since I've actually been back out here. It's been a few years. I've been moving around all over the place. It's important to me. History is my favorite subject, has always been my favorite subject through school, and I just think it's a great opportunity to go out there and live it out, especially if I get to represent my family colors and have a great time while doing it. So, Clan McFarland. History is important because we get to learn so much from our history, and if we take it for granted, we don't listen to our own history, bad stuff's bound to happen. And I think we're seeing that right now, and I think it's really cool that we all get to be out here and representing our own history. So,
my name is William Henry. I'm from the Ohio country. I've been doing this for about 35, 40 years. I portray a British loyalist during the Revolutionary War. I am loyal to my king, not like these traitorous dogs that are living in the fort calling themselves patriots and Americans. They came and burned my home, and I am now homeless, so I must live amongst my native brothers in the Ohio country, and I come down here to take revenge against these traitors to their king. I think we all should know where we came from and how we got here. It means more nowadays than it ever has. Good, bad, or indifferent, history is the truth. And we need to live with it and go by it and not let it repeat itself when it comes to some of the darker periods in our own lives. To me, that's what history's about.
My name's Ron Nichols, and I'm from Gray, Kentucky, and this is my first event. We decided to do this type of reenacting because This is really a forgotten era. My son and I here we're doing Butler's Rangers. These were loyalists during the Revolution. And not a lot of people realize that almost half the people in this country were loyalists. And it's a very underrepresented part of reenacting. I got started because I have a love of history. I did Civil War reenacting for a number of years, and I've always been interested in early Kentucky history and early American history in general. So that's what really got me started in this. History is important because, you know, it's an old saying, those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. We need to learn from our mistakes, not cover up our mistakes, and we need to understand all sides of the issues in history. It's not just a one-sided thing. Winners write the history books, but all sides need to be represented and understood. This being the first time I've ever done this type of a reenactment, I really thought that it was enjoyable. The people that we've fallen in with here are very knowledgeable. The guys who run Butler's Rangers are just amazing in their knowledge, and they've been very understanding with us, and they pointed us in the right direction, and it's kind of exciting to attack a fort. I mean, you know, who gets to do that very often, honestly?
My name is Scott Snyder. I'm from Corbin, Kentucky. This is actually my first time doing an event like this. The reason I wanted to do this is just to experience it, to live something I would never got to live. Oh, I loved it. History is important because if people don't realize it, like I said, we're doomed to repeat it.
My name's Matthew Ledford. I've been doing reenactment 10 years and I'm from Erwin, Tennessee.
How old are you?
14. I got started doing reenactments because my dad's been doing them for 20 years, 30 years, and he was in Last of the Mohicans, and that's what got him started, and I've been doing it ever since, 4 years old. History is important because if you look back in history, it's almost like a poem. It kind of rhymes in a way. It parts together, but it's good to know your history, and it's fun to look into it, and especially when you're doing reenactments and watching them.
My name's Russell Morris. I'm from Cincinnati. Been doing living history for about 14 years now. I started doing it because I actually went to Fort Boonesboro and I didn't know they'd done these things. And I got to talking with some people, and I'm part Shawnee myself, so I thought I can do this, and I've been doing it ever since. Yeah, this is important to me because you don't have the schools teaching the history to our children anymore. It's like a lost history, and if we don't do this, people don't learn, and there's a lot of adults that don't know this stuff. And that's our main goal, most people, is to educate the public. We just love teaching kids and adults of our history. We don't want it to disappear. I just like doing this, get out. I'm not working anymore, and I'm able to get out and do this. And I just love getting around these kids. I mean, everybody talks about me and the kids. I just love teaching them. They have to learn this stuff. I mean, you can't let history just fly by. It's not pretty a lot of times. Some parts are glamorous, but you have to let everybody know the history of how things were. You just can't let it disappear. I mean, me myself, when I started doing this, I had no idea how rich this area was that we live in. All the things that happen here are absolutely amazing, and we're still learning stuff that's going on, and but we just love it. Most of us are a bunch of history geeks anyway, and we just love this stuff.
Hi, my name's Christy Hensley. I'm from Jessamine County, Kentucky, and I started in this hobby in 1995. I think living history is important because I don't feel like our children get enough history education in school these days. I know that I didn't myself, and a lot of the history that I learned was from reading on my own and from interest from my family and the interest they bestowed upon me in history. And with living history, everything is hands-on, and I think that really means a lot when you can experience to a degree what our ancestors experienced. And I think with children, when you're teaching children, it really just makes a bigger impression on them when they see things in living color and get to touch and feel and experience it for themselves. Well, I think history is important to us because you can't really know where you're going until you know where you've been. And so by looking back at history, even recent history, but ancient history, early American history, I think we learn a lot about people and people's ways, and we can learn from mistakes that were made. We can look for better ways to do things, but I think we also honor our ancestors when we study history and the sacrifices that they made to give us what we have now. Well, there's a lot about this hobby to love, but one of the things that we love most about it is the family that we've created among other reenactors. We stay in touch, we get to see each other at events, and some of these people have become what we know to be lifelong friends because of our shared experience and because of the things that we get to do together.
My name is Michael Fields, and I'm from the northern Kentucky area. And I've been doing living history for over 25 years. I've always been just a history person, and I enjoy the outdoors, and me doing living history is both fulfilling my history and being outside, so camping and whatnot. I've always loved history. It was my number one subject I enjoyed the most, social studies, all that, so it's been in my blood for years. How did I get started in living history was I actually went to a reenactment, and it was kind of a fun thing is how I got started. I said, well, hey, I could play like that, but really, part of that is the getting out and putting on a show, but really just being around the history people, and just you go to these events and you learn. There's so many things, but just seeing it, and I was hooked. History is important to me because basically, you need to know history. You need to know your background. You need to know where you came from. You need to know where other people came from, and you need to know how to build upon that history. And history is always important because if you don't know your history, you'll forget the future, basically. Today at the reenactment, I was fighting with the natives, the Shawnee, and the British loyals, the Rangers. A lot of people ask that question, why were you fighting for the British? Well, quite simply, the British gave an opportunity for the natives to maintain their land, and which is what the settlers did not give. So I fight alongside the loyalists.
My name is Marion Hall. I'm from Nichols, Kentucky, and I've been reenacting for 25 years. I was born into it. History is important because it really puts into perspective the sacrifices that our ancestors made to bring us to our modern way of living. It also is important because it teaches us to not repeat the same mistakes we made in the past, and also celebrates the achievements that we have made throughout humanity. I personally enjoy reenacting because the fellowship with the people here is amazing. The people become your family. I've known most of these people all of my life. Some people I've only known for a few years, but they become friends in modern life. They help you celebrate all of your achievements in the 18th century and in the 21st century. It's also it's fun to step outside of our normal way of living and live in history for a while, because you get to share your knowledge with people. You get to experience things that you don't normally experience. You learn skills that you adapt into your normal life, or you adopt into your normal life. Cooking, cleaning, sewing, all of those things that people sometimes overlook in their modern lives are skills that have been developed and elaborated on throughout history. I can cook really good on a fire, and most people can't say that. And it impresses a lot of people, but it's fun. I've also learned how to sew much better than I ever learned how to sew in modern life. Reenacting is a way to reunite with people that you don't see regularly. Some of these people we only see a few times a year at events like this, but they make it all worthwhile. And living in the 18th century it's pretty fun. Living in history for a weekend or a few days at a time, it really makes you realize how easy we have it in modern life. And a lot of people don't necessarily understand the struggles that people on the frontier and throughout all of history, what they went through to get to where we are now. And coming to these events like this and learning from the reenactors and the historians that teach you about history, it puts that into perspective for people who never considered learning this aspect of history, but they also get to learn it on a more personal level.
Wow, that was informative and fun. I hope it encourages you and your family to take the time to attend a reenactment or living history event in your area. What better way to connect to our past and have a better understanding of what our ancestors lived through? What do you think? Did you learn something like I did? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We will continue to be on location at these events and interview the participants, so look for more videos like this one. And remember, family tree nuts. Let our nuts find the nuts in your family tree.